The courthouse doors swung open, and Layla walked in wearing a designer suit I knew my brother had never bought her. 15 years. 15 years of silence, and now she wanted half of everything Kareem had built from nothing. She smiled at me like we were old friends. I smiled back. She had no idea what was coming. If you've ever watched someone you love get blindsided by greed disguised as justice, stay with me. This story gets darker before it gets better. Hit that like button and leave a comment where you are watching from if you believe in real consequences, and subscribe to the channel because what happened in that courtroom 3 months later will restore your faith in karma. Or maybe just in good record keeping. My name is Amina Hassan. I'm 34, a commercial real estate broker in Dubai, and I've spent the last decade watching my younger brother Kareem build an empire from rubble. Literally. He started as a day laborer on construction sites, sleeping in shared worker housing, sending every spare dirham back to our mother in Cairo. By the time he was 28, he'd saved enough to flip his first property, a crumbling warehouse in Al Quoz that everyone said was worthless. He renovated it himself nights and weekends and sold it for triple what he paid. That became 2 properties. Then 5. Then a portfolio that made investors from London call him directly. I remember the exact moment Layla entered his life. It was at a gallery opening in DIFC. She was Egyptian too, working as a brand consultant, which I later learned meant she threw parties for rich people and called it networking. She wore a red dress that cost more than Kareem's first car, and she looked at him like he was a lottery ticket she'd just scratched. They married 4 months later. I stood beside Kareem at the courthouse, a small civil ceremony because Layla said she didn't want anything traditional or tacky. Our mother cried in Cairo watching on video call. Layla didn't even pretend to care. The marriage lasted 18 months. 18 months of Layla redecorating their apartment every season, hiring personal trainers and taking business trips to Paris that involved zero business. Kareem worked 16-hour days. He spent his money like it was air. Then one morning she was gone. No note. No explanation. Just an Instagram story posted from Charles de Gaulle Airport. New chapter. New energy. No regrets. She'd cleaned out their joint account, about 180,000 dirhams, and left behind a closet full of clothes with the tags still on. Kareem didn't chase her. Didn't beg. He filed for divorce through a lawyer, and when she didn't respond to any of the legal notices, the court granted it in absentia. Under UAE law, since she'd abandoned the marriage and there were no children, the separation was clean and final. He never mentioned her name again. Not once. He buried himself in work, bought his first luxury apartment in downtown Dubai, and started developing a mixed-use complex in Business Bay. By year 5 his net worth had crossed 8 figures. By year 10 he was a regular speaker at real estate investment conferences. I watched him date occasionally, good women, accomplished women, but nothing ever stuck. I think Layla had broken something in him, some ability to trust. He smiled less. I worked more. Built walls higher than any property he developed. 15 years passed. 15 years of silence. Not a text. Not an email. Not a single acknowledgement that she'd ever been part of his life. Then 3 months ago the courier arrived at Kareem's office. A thick legal envelope stamped and sealed, sent from a law firm in Paris. I was there that day. We'd just closed a deal on a commercial tower in Jumeirah, and I saw his face drain of color as he read. "She's suing me," he said, voice hollow. "Layla. She's filing for property settlement and alimony, claiming she's entitled to half of everything I've acquired since we married." I grabbed the papers. The claim was for 47 million dirhams. 47 million. Half his estimated net worth, calculated from the date of their marriage to present day. Her lawyer argued that under certain interpretations of international family law, the lack of a formal financial settlement at the time of divorce left the door open for future claims. It was insane. It was obscene. But it was also filed in French court with a petition to enforce in UAE courts under reciprocal agreements. "She can't do this," I said. "You were divorced 15 years ago." Kareem's lawyer, a sharp Emirati woman named Salma, arrived within an hour. She read the filing, lips pressed into a thin line. "They're exploiting a technicality. Because the original divorce was granted in absentia and Layla never formally waived her financial rights in writing, her legal team is arguing the settlement was incomplete." "That's insane," I repeated. That's international family law, Salma said grimly. And if the French court rules in her favor, they can petition UE courts to enforce it. With his assets here, she could freeze everything while it's litigated. Karim sat silent, staring at nothing. I knew that look. It was the same look he'd had the morning after Layla left. Empty, defeated, like the world had just confirmed his worst suspicions about people. We fight this, I said. Salma nodded. We will. But her lawyers are good. This firm handles high-net-worth divorces for oligarchs and oil families. They don't file unless they think they can win. That night, I went home to my apartment in Marina and couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Karim's hands, scarred from years of manual labor, calloused from laying bricks and mixing cement before he could afford to hire crews. I thought about the nights he'd slept on construction sites to save money. The years he'd eaten shawarma from street carts while Layla ordered room service at five-star hotels. And now she wanted half. I opened my laptop. I started searching. Layla Mansour. Paris. Social media. Anything I can find. Her Instagram was public. 15,000 followers. Photos of her at fashion weeks, yacht parties, luxury resorts. Recent posts showed her in Mykonos, Ibiza, Monaco. Designer bags. First-class flights. In every photo, a different man's arm around her waist, face carefully cropped out. One post from 2 months ago stopped me cold. A photo of her hand, manicured, dripping in gold, resting on legal documents. Caption: reclaiming what was always mine. Justice delayed isn't justice denied. Hashtag know your worth, hashtag no apologies. The comments were full of women cheering her on. Get what you deserve, queen. Men think they can just move on. Make him pay. Financial abuse is real. Take it all. I screenshotted everything. Then I kept digging. Layla's LinkedIn said she was a lifestyle consultant and brand strategist. Her website offered services like luxury positioning and high-net-worth relationship coaching. I clicked through. One of her blog posts was titled, "How I Turned My Divorce into My Biggest Asset." My stomach turned. This wasn't about Karim. This was her business model. She'd built an entire brand around being a woman who'd escaped a controlling marriage and now taught other women how to maximize their exit strategies. Except she'd never been trapped. She'd walked away with a bag full of cash and zero consequences. And now, 15 years later, she wanted more. I called Karim. It was past midnight. He answered on the first ring. I can't sleep either, he said. She's been planning this, I told him. This isn't random. She's turned you into content. She's probably been tracking your career this whole time, waiting until you were worth enough to make it worth her effort. Silence. Then quietly, what do I do, Amina? I thought about all the years I'd watched him rebuild. Thought about the woman who'd abandoned him and now wanted to cash in on his success. Thought about the legal system that might actually let her. You let me handle it, I said. Salma handles the legal side. I'll handle everything else. What does that mean? It means Layla Mansour thinks she's the smartest person in the room. I'm going to show her she's not even close. I hung up. I opened a new document on my laptop. Titled it, Financial Reconstruction, Karim Hassan Marriage Period 2008 to 2009. If Layla wanted to claim she was entitled to half his empire, I was going to show the court exactly what that empire looked like when she was actually part of his life, and what it looked like after she left. The revenge wasn't going to be loud. It was going to be methodical, documented and airtight. And it started with a phone call I'd been avoiding for 15 years. The next morning, I sat in Salma's office on the 32nd floor of a glass tower in DIFC. Through the windows, Dubai sprawled beneath us, glittering, ambitious, unforgiving. Exactly the kind of city that rewarded people like Karim and chewed up people like Layla. Salma spread the legal filings across her desk. Here's what we're facing. Layla's team is arguing that because the original divorce didn't include an explicit financial settlement, no formal division of assets, no signed waiver, she retains the right to claim her share posthumously. Posthumously? I said. She's not dead. Poor word choice. Retroactively. Salma tapped the document. French law allows for this in specific circumstances, particularly if one party can prove they were coerced or uninformed during the original proceedings. She wasn't coerced. She disappeared. They're claiming she was emotionally distressed and unable to properly advocate for herself. Kareem's lawyer took advantage of her absence to rush the divorce. I laughed. It came out bitter. She was posting vacation photos from Europe while the divorce was being finalized. I know. But we have to prove it. And here's the problem. 15 years ago, social media wasn't what it is now. If she's deleted old posts or accounts, we might not have access to the evidence we need. I pulled out my phone. Showed her the screenshots I'd taken the night before. She hasn't deleted anything. He's too arrogant. She thinks this makes her look strong. Salma leaned forward, studying the images. Her expression shifted. This is good. This shows she was financially stable, traveling freely, and publicly unconcerned about the divorce. But we need more. We need financial records, bank statements, proof of how she spent the money she took from the joint account. How do we get that? It's been 15 years. We subpoenaed the bank. But here's the challenge. If the account was closed and records weren't preserved, we're out of luck. UAE banks typically keep records for 7 years unless there's a legal reason to maintain them longer. My heart sank. So we might have nothing. We might have nothing from the bank, Salma corrected. But Kareem might have copies. People don't always delete old files. Check his email archives. Old computers. Cloud storage. Anything from that period. I called Kareem. He sounded exhausted. I'm in a meeting. Can this wait? No. I need you to pull every digital file you have from 2008 and 2009. Emails. Bank statements. Photos. Messages. Anything at all. Amina, I don't even remember what email I was using back then. Find it. This is how we win. That afternoon I went to Kareem's penthouse in downtown Dubai. He'd given me a key years ago, back when I'd helped him move in. The apartment was pristine, floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, art on the walls that cost more than most people's cars. But it felt cold and empty, like a showroom instead of a home. I found his old laptop in a storage closet, buried under boxes of business files. The battery was dead. I plugged it in, waited for it to boot, and prayed. It took 20 minutes to load. The operating system was ancient. But when the desktop finally appeared, my breath caught. Folders. Dozens of them. Financial 2008. Emails Layla. Joint account statements. Property purchase 1. He'd kept everything. I spent the next 6 hours going through files. Bank statements showed the joint account balance on the day they married. 240,000 dirhams. Money Kareem had saved over 3 years. Monthly statements showed Layla's spending. Luxury hotels, designer stores, international transfers to accounts in France and Egypt. Then the final statement. The day she left. Balance. 8,400 dirhams. She drained 180,000 in 18 months. I cross-referenced it with Kareem's personal account during the same period. He'd deposited his entire salary every month. Taken out only what he needed for rent and food. Every dirham went into that joint account, and every dirham Layla spent. I found emails too. One from Layla, sent 3 months into the marriage. We need to talk about your work schedule. I didn't marry you to be alone every night. Another, I saw an apartment in Palm Jumeirah. We should upgrade. You can afford it. And then the final email. In the morning she left. I'm not doing this anymore. You're boring. Your life is boring. I deserve better. No mention of money. No mention of settlement. Just contempt. I copied everything onto 3 separate drives. Organized it into folders. Financial records. Correspondence. Social media evidence and timeline. Then I called Salma. I have everything. Bank statements. Emails. A complete financial picture of their marriage. Bring it tomorrow. We'll build the case. But I wasn't done. Because bank statements and emails weren't enough. I needed to understand Layla's endgame. Why no? Why after 15 years? I went back to her website. Read every blog post. I watched every video. She sold online courses. Divorce like a CEO. Maximizing your marital investment. The art of the exit strategy. One video made my blood run cold. She was sitting in a Parisian cafe, coffee in hand, speaking directly to the camera. A lot of women ask me, Layla, what if I left my marriage years ago? Is it too late to get what I'm owed? And I always tell them it's never too late. The law is on your side. You just need the right team. She was coaching women to do exactly what she was doing to Kareem. Weaponizing divorce. Turning it into a payday. I dug deeper. Found a private Facebook group she ran, Financially Empowered Women. 23,000 members. I requested to join using a fake profile. Got accepted within an hour. The posts were horrifying. Women sharing stories of reclaiming money from ex-husbands years after divorce. Celebrating legal victories. Sharing lawyer recommendations. And Layla was in the comments of every post, cheering them on, offering her course at a discount. One post stopped me, just settled with my ex after 12 years. He thought he was safe. Got 3.2 million. Layla's strategy works. Don't give up. This wasn't about Kareem. This was about proving her system worked. He was a case study. A trophy. Proof that her methods delivered results. I screenshotted everything. Every post. Every comment. Every piece of evidence that showed this was premeditated, calculated, and part of a broader pattern. Then I did something risky. I sent a message to 3 women in the group who'd posted about ongoing cases. Pretended to be someone considering Layla's course. Asked if she'd help them directly. 2 responded within a day. Both said yes. Layla had personally consulted on their cases. Reviewed their financials. Connected them with lawyers. One said, she doesn't do it for free but it's worth it. I'm about to get 1.8 million from a marriage that ended in 2011. I forwarded everything to Salma. She's running a business. She's coaching women to exploit legal loopholes for profit. And Kareem is her marquee case. Salma called me an hour later. This changes everything. If we can prove she's pursuing this settlement not out of genuine financial need but as part of a commercial strategy, we can argue bad faith. It won't kill the case but it damages her credibility. What do we need? Testimony. Someone willing to go on record that Layla solicited them as clients. Someone who can show this is a pattern, not a one-off. I thought about the women in the Facebook group. Most of them wouldn't talk. They were loyal to Layla. She'd made them money. But there was always someone. Someone who'd been burned. Someone who felt used. I spent the next week combing through the group. Found a woman named Nadia who'd posted angrily 6 months ago. Paid Layla $15K for consulting. My case got dismissed. She won't refund me. Scam artist. I messaged her privately. Told her I was investigating Layla for potential fraud. Asked if she'd be willing to talk. She responded immediately, I'll tell you everything. She destroyed my life. We met at a cafe in Abu Dhabi. Nadia was in her 40s, exhausted looking, wringing her hands around a coffee cup. I thought she was going to save me, she said. I was divorced 8 years ago. Struggling financially. Saw Layla's posts and thought maybe I have a chance. What happened? She charged me 15,000 dirhams for a consultation package. Reviewed my case. Said I had a strong claim. Connected me with a lawyer. Her lawyer, it turned out. They filed and the court threw it out in 3 weeks. No grounds. My ex had documentation proving we'd settled everything properly. I lost the filing fees. Lost the lawyer fees. Lost Layla's fee. She blocked me when I asked for a refund. Would you testify to that? Nadia hesitated. In court. If it comes to that. She looked out the window. She needs to be stopped. She's selling false hope to desperate women. Yes. I'll testify. I drove back to Dubai with a signed affidavit. Salma added it to our growing file. But as strong as our case was becoming, Layla's team wasn't backing down. They filed a motion to freeze Kareem's assets pending the outcome of the case. Claimed he was a flight risk. Argued he might move money offshore to avoid paying. The motion was denied, but it rattled Kareem. He called me at 2 a.m. voice shaking. What if they win, Amina? What if she actually gets half? She won't. You don't know that. I do. Because I'm not going to let her. But privately I was scared too. Because the law doesn't always care about fairness. Sometimes it just cares about technicalities. And Layla's lawyers were very good at finding them. The breakthrough came from an unexpected place. I was having lunch with an old colleague, Tariq, another broker I'd worked with years ago, when he mentioned he'd just closed a sale on a villa in Palm Jumeirah. The buyer was French, paid cash and wanted total privacy. A woman in her early 40s, he said. My name was Layla Mansour. She was particular. Wanted the deed under a corporate entity, no personal name attached. I set down my fork. When did this happen? 2 weeks ago. Why? How much? 8.5 million dirhams. My mind raced. Layla had just purchased an 8.5 million dirham villa in Dubai, while simultaneously filing a lawsuit claiming she was owed money because she'd been left financially vulnerable. Tariq, I need everything you have on that sale. Documents, payment records and corporate filings. He frowned. That's confidential client information. She's suing my brother for 47 million dirhams, claiming she's destitute. If she just bought a villa cash, that's fraud. His expression changed. Give me a day. 24 hours later, I had a folder of documents. The villa was purchased under an LLC registered in Paris, LM Luxury Consulting. The payment came from a French bank account with a balance statement showing 12 million euros. Layla wasn't poor. She wasn't struggling. She was rich, and getting richer by coaching other women through high-stakes divorces. I brought everything to Salma. She read through the documents twice, then looked up at me. This is it. This is how we destroy her case. How? She's claiming financial hardship as part of her justification for the delayed settlement. But she just bought a multi-million dirham property in cash. That's not hardship. That's wealth concealment. We file a motion to compel full financial disclosure. Force her to reveal her assets. If she's been hiding money while claiming she's owed money, the court will throw out the case. We filed the motion the next day. Layla's lawyers fought back hard, arguing her current finances were irrelevant to the settlement owed from 15 years ago. The judge disagreed. Ordered full financial disclosure from both parties. Kareem's disclosure was clean. Every asset is documented. Every transaction is transparent. His net worth was high, but it was earned, legitimate, trackable, defensible. Layla's disclosure, when it finally arrived, was a masterpiece of evasion. Shell companies, offshore accounts, real estate holdings in 3 countries. Her declared net worth was 18 million euros. Salma smiled when she read it. She just admitted she's worth more than Kareem was when they divorced. This case is over. But I wanted more than a dismissal. I wanted consequences. I reached out to a journalist I knew, Fatima, who covered financial crime for a major Gulf newspaper. Send her everything. The Facebook group. Nadia's affidavit. Layla's business model. The hidden assets. This is a story, Fatima said. But I need more sources. Can you connect me with other women she's scammed? I went back to the Facebook group. Found 2 more women willing to talk off the record. Both had paid Layla for consulting. Both had lost their cases. One said, she told me I'd get at least 2 million. I got nothing. She kept my fee. Fatima wrote the article. It was published 3 days before the court hearing. The headline, Dubai divorce coach accused of exploiting legal loopholes to scam desperate women. The article detailed Layla's business. Her courses. The lawsuits she'd encouraged. The woman who'd lost money trusting her advice. And it mentioned prominently her ongoing case against Kareem Hassan, a Dubai developer she'd been divorced from for 15 years. It went viral. Picked up by international outlets. Layla's Instagram comments flooded with angry messages. Women demanding refunds. Lawyers distancing themselves. Her carefully curated brand collapsed in 72 hours. The court hearing was scheduled for a Wednesday morning. I arrived early, sat in the back row of the courtroom. Kareem sat at the plaintiff's table with Salma. He looked calm. Resolved. Layla walked in 20 minutes late. Designer suit. Expensive bag. Hair perfect. But her face was tight. Strained. She'd seen the article. Felt the backlash. Her lawyer stood, began his argument. Your Honor, my client is entitled to a fair settlement from a marriage that ended without proper financial resolution. The fact that she has since rebuilt her life financially does not negate. Salma interrupted. Your Honor, the respondent's financial disclosure shows a net worth of 18 million euros. That's more than my client was worth at the time of their divorce. She's not seeking a settlement. She's seeking a payday. The judge looked at Layla. Ms. Mansour, you claim you were left financially vulnerable by this divorce. But you currently own properties in 3 countries and operate a consulting business that generates significant income. Can you explain this discrepancy? Layla's lawyer stammered. My client's current success is irrelevant too. It's absolutely relevant, the judge said. You're arguing she's owed compensation for financial harm. But she's demonstrably not harmed. Motion dismissed. The gavel hit. The courtroom exhaled. Layla stood face white. He looked at Kareem. He didn't look back. She left without a word. Outside, Fatima was waiting with a camera crew. Ms. Mansour, do you have a comment on the ruling? Layla pushed past her, got into a waiting car and drove away. Salma shook Kareem's hand. It's over. But I wasn't satisfied. Because Layla was still out there. Still running her courses. Still coaching women to exploit the system. So I made one more call. To the French authorities. Send them everything. The financial records. The testimonies. The evidence of fraud. 6 weeks later Fatima called me. They've opened an investigation. Tax evasion. Wire fraud. She's facing charges in France. I smiled. Good. 3 months after the case was dismissed, I was closing a deal on a commercial property in Business Bay when my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. This is Layla. We need to talk. I stared at the screen. Didn't respond. Another message. I know you're behind everything. The article. The investigation. I want to settle this. I showed Kareem. He shook his head. Ignore her. But I didn't. I wanted to hear what she had to say. We met at a cafe in City Walk. Public. Cameras everywhere. I wasn't taking chances. Layla looked different. Thinner. Hair pulled back. No designer bag. She sat across from me, hands folded. I underestimated you. Clearly. I want to make this go away. The investigation. The publicity. What do you want? An apology. She blinked. What? Apologize to Kareem. Publicly. Admit you were wrong. Shut down your business. Refund every woman you scammed. She laughed. You're insane. Then enjoy the criminal charges. Her smile faded. They won't stick. Maybe. But the investigation will take years. Your reputation is already destroyed. Every woman you coached is a potential witness. You'll spend the rest of your life in courtrooms. She stared at me. You really hate me. I don't hate you. I just don't think you should profit from cruelty. She stood. This isn't over. Yes, it is. She left. I never heard from her again. The French investigation moved slowly but steadily. Layla's courses were removed from every platform. Her social media went dark. The Facebook group was shut down. Nadia, the woman I'd interviewed, reached out months later. I got a refund. 15,000 dirhams. From some settlement fund. Did you do that? I hadn't. But I knew who had. Kareem. He'd quietly contacted every woman who'd lost money and compensated them. Why? I asked him. Because they were victims too. He never asked for recognition. Never publicized it. I just did it. That's the difference between people like Kareem and people like Layla. One builds. One extracts. A year later, I was at Kareem's office for a board meeting when a courier delivered a letter. Handwritten. Postmarked from Cairo. Kareem opened it. Read silently. His expression didn't change. What is it? I asked. He handed it to me. The letter was from Layla. Short. No address. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I hope you're happy. Kareem folded the letter. Put it in a drawer. I am, he said. Not because of her. But because I didn't let her define me. That's the real ending. Not revenge. Not courtroom drama. Just a man who refused to let someone else's greed destroy what he'd built. Layla disappeared after that. No social media. No courses. No lawsuits. Some people say she moved back to Cairo. Others say she's in Europe, working under a different name. I don't know. I don't care. Because the story was never about her. It was about Kareem. About the years he spent building something real. About the moment someone tried to take it and the people who stood beside him and said no. Justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just closing a drawer and walking away. People ask me if I regret how hard we fought. If maybe we should have just settled, paid her something to make it go away. And I always say the same thing. No. Because settling would have told Layla. and everyone watching, that you can abandon someone, disappear for 15 years and still come back for a payday. It would have told every woman in that Facebook group that the system rewards exploitation. Kareem didn't just win a legal case. He set a precedent. He proved that documentation matters. That truth matters. That you can't rewrite history just because it's profitable. The women Layla scammed got their money back. The investigation in France sent a message to others running similar schemes. And Kareem? He kept building. Kept growing. Kept proving that success earned honestly will always outlast success stolen. Some bridges you don't rebuild. Some people you don't forgive. Not out of bitterness, but because forgiveness without accountability is just permission to hurt you again. Layla taught me that. And I'm grateful for the lesson. If this story hit home, if you've ever had to fight for what you built, drop a comment. Share your city, your situation. No names needed. Hit subscribe because the next story involves a business partner, a forged contract and security footage that changed everything. Justice isn't always instant, but it's always worth the wait. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.